Hello, this is Emma from Way to Fitness. I've been lucky enough to do some training recently, and it was all about exercises that are safe to do and best avoided if you have arthritis in your spine, osteoarthritis in your spine, or osteoporosis. Okay, so in those two conditions, the back, the spine is affected by those two conditions. And there are certain exercises we do in classes like any sort of floor class, so it might be pure stretch, but particularly in Pilates. And I was listening with wide open ears, making sure that everything we do is safe and effective at Way to Fitness. So I just want to remind you about different positions. Now, our body was made to move. There is no doubt about it. Every single joint, every part of the body was designed to move. Nothing wants to be kept still, okay? So normal ranges of movement are what we want to be keeping throughout our life. And just to remind you, our body works in 3 planes. It's very clever. It can go side to side, okay? So that's called lateral flexion, all right? Side to side. It can move one side to the centre and round, so it can rotate. Our body is clever. You can rotate round, and it does lateral flexion. It also, if I show you side on, it can flex and it can extend. So it can flex and extend. And we want to be able to do all of those movements safely because we want to be able to look up to the sky. We want to be able to pick up things off the floor. We want to be able to put our seat belt on. You know, all this is, these movements are functional. We want to be able to do everything we can do. We want to be able to do things up, get dressed, and that's why we want to keep mobile. Now, my training was on certain exercises that should be avoided if you have got osteoarthritis in your spine or osteoporosis in your spine. Now, I was thinking about it. There are some people, some members who have had it diagnosed and they're told and they've been said, you have got osteoporosis in your spine. You tell me that and I say, oh yeah, avoid this, avoid that. But osteoarthritis is one of those things that is often not diagnosed. It's often to do with age. I was looking up signs and symptoms of osteoarthritis, and it can be things like stiffness in the morning, achiness in the morning. I mean, crikey, I'm 53. I feel stiff and achy in the morning, so I probably got some degree of osteoarthritis because you get it, it's to do with the aging process. It's just one of those things. That got me thinking, and I wanted to just say to you about different exercises and alternatives that some of you may choose to do just to protect your back, all right? So as I always say at Way to Fitness, if you have any doubts about your fitness to exercise, always talk to a doctor first. But we know there are certain exercises that are best avoided if you know you've got osteoarthritis or osteoporosis of the spine, okay? And the exercise we need to be avoiding is something called weighted flexion. So it's bending down with the full weight of your body on your bent back, okay? So if you were to have totally straight legs and you go down to the floor to pick something up, that's weighted flexion, okay? You're just straight down, straight up, okay? Now, doing it once isn't a problem, but if you have years and years of doing that, then you can have changes, little damage can occur in your back. And we want to avoid that at all costs, okay? So we know that we can, when we're bending down, so instead of having straight legs, bend the knees slightly, and that's going to have less pressure on your back, all right? So I want to just demonstrate. I've got my mat behind me, and I'm just going to show to you some alternatives that might keep your back more safe when we're exercising. So I'm going to get my chair out of the way, and I'm going to come to my mat, okay? So I'll probably do it side on so that you can see. Okay, so we've got natural curves in our back, and in Pilates it's very common that we do something called a roll down, and for some people with totally healthy backs that's absolutely fine, but there will be some of us who kind of we don't know if we've got osteoarthritis in our spine or osteoporosis. So actually we may be safer doing a roll down that's called, that we do a hip hinge. We literally bend at the waist. So instead of chin on the chest and rolling down, as you can see, this is weighted flexion. All the weight is on my back, my arms are hanging loose, okay? And then I gently come back up. So that would be putting quite a lot of stress and strain on my back. It could well be safer for me to bend at the, be moving at the hips, okay? And we're leaning forward, you put your hands here. So you're coming down, you can feel a really lovely stretch, but your hands are on your knees. Your back is in its long, natural curves. And then we come back up again. So that's a hip hinge, okay? So again, we're just going to bend and move from the hips. We're coming down, looking down, so we get that lovely stretch in the back of the thighs. Look down to the mat. And then gently come back up again. So that is going to be a safer alternative for people with osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, or if you suspect you might have it, that's going to be better for you. You could also do a half roll down, hands on the thighs, chin towards the chest, roll down part way, hands are here, lengthen the back, arch the back and come back up, okay? We want to keep normal patterns of movement going, okay? We absolutely want that, but what we don't want to do is to put too much pressure on you by causing weighted flexion on our back, okay? Now just some exercises on the mat that we could slightly modify. Coming down to the mat, we do rollbacks. Now again, if we're putting weight through our spine down to the floor, we crunch the spine down and then bring it back up. That's not going to be great if you've got those two conditions. So I've got my balls over there and I'm down here, so just imagine, you know, we use a ball, we can wedge the ball in and we can do half roll down, so we're really getting the tummy work, but we're not, this is what we're avoiding. You see, if you crunch all the way down, then you've got to crunch all the way back up. So that, we want to avoid that pressure on the back, okay, and we use a ball instead, and we roll into the ball, and we roll back up. And that's really going to be a fantastic core exercise, but you're not crunching your back down on the mat. Now another common exercise we do is a shoulder bridge. And again, we don't want to be putting the weight of our body through our spine on the mat if we've got osteoarthritis or osteoporosis or the early stages of osteoporosis. So what we can do, a shoulder bridge, you're here, okay, I'm looking up to the mat. So a normal shoulder bridge, you will tilt the pelvis, push the lower back into the floor, peel the back up off the floor, squeezing the bottom, pushing your hips up towards the ceiling, okay? So that's your standard shoulder bridge, and then you would very slowly lower the back down one vertebra at a time until you got down to the mat, okay? So we call it articulating through the spine, one at a time, one vertebra at a time going down. So if you had those two conditions, it would be better for your back if you did, tummy's in, you're just going to lift and you lower. You're not bending the back in the same way. I hope you can see if I just twist that up. Okay, so what we want you to do is to lift up, push the hips up towards the ceiling and squeeze the bottom, and then down. Okay, keeping the natural curves in the back. So the little modifications can make the exercises more safe if you have got early osteoporosis, osteoarthritis or osteoporosis, okay. I think it's really important when I do training that it affects how I teach, and I can teach those, you know, my Way to Fitness members how to look after themselves and do exercises safely and effectively. If you've got any questions at all, then talk to me directly. I just wanted to record this short film so that you feel like you know the latest advice, and we can make sure your participation in all my classes are both safe and effective. So look forward to hearing from you, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye.